say the first line of fighting and preventing crime. It's not any other thing, Premier. It's not any policy you will adopt. The first one is to be honest about the problem. If we are not honest about the problem, everything else we're going to do in the next 2 days does not really matter. And being honest about why this country has so many good policies and such poor implementation. I talk to some colleagues from other countries. They say we do not have the kinds of millions South Africa has. So we go to its website and take its policies for implementation. They say we don't feel guilty because we know South Africa will never implement those policies. I want to start by saying, in a country of this poverty, unemployment, inequality, imagine how much each one of us to be here it costs. To sleep here, to fly here, or to drive here. And if that money was given to that person who is making shoes, who is sewing dress, instead of us, if we're not going to be serious about what we want to do. Frantz Fanon says each generation must discover its mission, fulfill it or betray it. What is the mission of our time when the country is at war with itself? So the starting point in us preventing and fighting crime is honesty. If because we fear telling each other the truth of what was promised and was never delivered, then we will start hallucinating progress, which does not exist. 63 or so million South Africans and millions of citizens in this province, they expect more from us because each one of us here is a leader. Criminals have declared war on society. And are we prepared to declare war on criminals? What then is the problem? Some few weeks ago, I was addressing Minmek in Mangaung. And I said the problem with this country, we have developed some of the best systems. We have the hardware. We have all kinds of technologies. At the time I was referring to the Mangaung prison. It's one of the best. Security cameras are there. The fences is up there. All other kinds of things for controls are there. But we're focused on systems and forgot to focus on the human being behind those systems. We've focused on the hardware of the society and forgot to talk about the software, the values, the principles, the character formation of the people who are supposed to enforce these. And in the absence of that, you can never have any consciousness of patriotism, none. Because it will be me, myself, and I. Even citizenship will be sold for 500 rands when the country will have to spend millions to raise that person. It's because we have minimized the maximum and maximized the minimum. It's because we have majored in minors. So that's the first thing in terms of us saying, for too long we've been in a rules-based system, but not a value-based system. And people are able to cheat rules. And it is for that reason that our annual reports look so good. Because it's self-praise. But the people on the ground who are supposed to be serviced are so desperate. And they are so angry with us. And every other survey, the other day, last week, when we were meeting with the presiding officers of Parliament, IEC was presenting the surveys done by the HSRC. There is a legitimate crisis. People no longer trust leaders. They don't trust public service because we mean what we do not say and we say what we do not mean. The biggest crisis we're facing is honesty deficit. As long as we are comfortable, we do not feel the pain of those who are not in this room. So there's a need for a new understanding of the ecosystem that creates and reproduces this crime. The next issue I'm going to raise is coordination and integration. Premier, the challenge in South Africa across the country, the moment people invoke the word coordination, do know that they are not going to coordinate. They use it as a cliche and as a buzzword. Let me give you one simple example. I spoke to SALGA Migration Committee 2 weeks ago. If as a country you cannot tell who is where and you cannot document people in your country, just forget. In fact, if you can't do that, you better just close the conference and we go home. Because every other country, it's common sense. Must know Ugutuba no Buyile Emelo and came to Ennasport. Ubuyile Mozambique and came to Mpumalanga. Upumile waya somewhere. That's the only way you plan for development. That's the only way you can actually have your crime intelligence. But Mauti, we do not know who has come in. We do not know who has gone. We have no statistics whatsoever that is reliable. How do you expect the police to track something they do not know? One simple example. Crime has moved into the cyberspace, into internet. And yet we are one of few countries in the world that you'll find SIM cards next to a taxi rank being sold without being recut. Nigeria almost booted out MTN, and they actually charged them billions because they had not recut. Try that in any other country or even Botswana. They'll kick you out. But as a country, we do not know the threshold between vibrant anarchy and vibrant democracy. Therefore, we do not deserve any security because we are not serious. We think that crime prevention and crime fighting happens in talk shows. It doesn't. As a result, citizens are so vulnerable. They do not know what to do. More recently, I was told in Gwavuma, people come and just take your car with rifles and just cross the border. I was in Kasha's Neck near Madadiel, meeting with farmers who say people just cross over and take your whole kraal of 60 cows. There's nothing you can do. When you want to follow, you meet soldiers there to say, no, no, this is another country. When you enter Botswana with your passport, they say, please, now you are entering Botswana. This is not South Africa. Please respect the law because you are going to meet the might of law. Only here that we are being grey listed as a country because there are no systems. Any person who wants to be a pastor, they'll pass every other country. Come here, pay no tax, nothing. You want business, you come here, you say, no, I have no receipts, we'll just use cash. People wanted by the International Court of Justice, they pass all other countries looking for the soft spot. And we do not know where vibrant anarchy starts and vibrant democracy starts. I've got news for you. In the last 5 years, South Africa, its foreign debt doubled to almost 500 billion. No, in fact, it is in trillions now. It doubled. And on average, some economists are saying we're paying 1.1 billion per day to service that debt. So when we fail to integrate, coordinate, we're increasing and ballooning that particular challenge. And we will never pay it in our lifetime. We will give it to our children because as this generation we will have failed. Would we blame them if they come to our graves to spit on them instead of put flowers? Because we will have failed them. Lastly, I just want to raise the following. One, we have to look at the ecosystem that breeds crime. One is the socialization systems. Once an African family collapses, you can bring 1 million soldiers and police, it won't help. Because a family is where your first lessons about values and principles are made. It is not SASA nor social development. Baba mncane umalume playing their part. But if now umalume becomes a rapist, where will people turn to? The children. Then you take the person to a school. If our own school system has to receive people with no foundation, it's another challenge. And with the system itself having its own weaknesses, if the church itself at times become a crime scene, another socializing agent. And it is quite clear as we're engaging with universities, with business schools, that some of the people who appeared in the Zondo Commission and other commissions of corruption were well educated, but they had flawed character. Hence the value systems. Maybe it was for that reason that Madiba said this country needs the RDP of the soul. Because he knew that RDP houses, electricity, roads would not be sufficient. We need that RDP of the soul. We love as a country to think that we are an exception. South African exceptionalism. Instead of just looking around us and say which country is functioning, what are they doing right? We often gather like this to create something new. If Botswana get it right, or any other country get it right, can't we just say, what is it that you are doing right? And also remember that we can't send everything of our failure to courts. You fail to agree with your uncle, let's go to court. A branch meeting failed, let's go to court. They are going to suffer from judicial fatigue and possibly make mistakes because they were not designed to adjudicate on every little thing, even within a family. So, building our institutions, coordinating and integrating our approach from national to provincial, across departments, local, amakosi, everybody. Take, for example, the issue of migration. Home Affairs is not the only one. Because people think that Mutsualedi is the one who has to send soldiers to the border. There is South African Defense Force. Once people are inside, there is South African police. Mabefika in your village, ukosi kufanele babuze ukuthi wobani laba. When they get to the municipality, there are bylaws. But if you can't inspect a person who sleeps in this business, cooks in this business, do hair in this business, it becomes a nightclub, it becomes a prayer place, and possibly a drug den. Right in front of our eyes. So, we must work together. And in working together, I want to remind you of one thing. Ivan Toffler said the illiterate of the 21st century will not be people who cannot read and write or count, but it will be the people who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. It's clear that the software that we have been using is corrupted. It's a virus. It's clear that when you go to a repair shop, they say we're going to wipe out every information and put a new software. In this meeting, ask yourselves, what will that new software be? If not you, who will do it? If not here, where will it be done? If not now, when will it be done? Thank you.
Yeah, Commissioner, I hope all of us who are South African citizens siyazibuza ukuthi sihleli kuphi. Ndunankulu sonke siku mission yokuzibuza, sithanda ukubonga kakhulu. We'll take the matters to the commission. We'll deliberate on the matters. Because your ethical issues in dealing with crime, but iqala ngathi. Qala emakhaya. We said together we can do it. Now it's done. We celebrated the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. E-Akhonwoku. Ndunankulu deep rural la ucabanga ukuthi ama drugs anjengalawa ngeke uwathola uyawathola. Is this border management? Is this non-control and influx of porous borders? But siyabonga kakhulu, it's an eye-opener. Sibonga kakhulu. We'll take the matters and discuss and come up with the real, tangible program of action. Siyabonga kakhulu. Let's give him a round of applause once more. The message of support from the Community Policing Forum will request the chairperson for the provincial board, Ntate Lushaba, azosinikeza umlayezo. Aseza asim-encourage ngehlombe.
Mphathohlelo ngebonga leli thuba. Honorable Premier Mrs. Rifi Mtsweni Tsipane, MEC of the CSSL Mpumalanga Provincial, Honorable VR Shongwe, the Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General S.D. Manamela, all the Deputy Provincial Commissioners, traditional leaders, provincial board members, all district board members, district commissioners, all station commanders, and all tax association structures. Ladies and gentlemen present, I greet you all. My name is M.M. Lushaba, the provincial board chairperson of Mpumalanga province. I'm glad to invite to this occasion, and it is an honor and a privilege to stand here in this special month of the Youth Month. I want to the first and foremost congratulate the men and women in blue with our province in doing their jobs with pride and dignity. Despite all the difficulties you are facing in your respective district and station, you continue to perform your duty with aplomb. Honorable Premier and MEC of DCSL, as the Mpumalanga Provincial Board, we would like to inform you that you are working very well with Mpumalanga South African Police Service leadership in the province and district in fighting crimes in our province. We continue to play our primary role as the CPF in Mpumalanga province of promoting accountability of the local police to our local communities and also monitor their effective and efficient in the service our people. The CPF Provincial Board has initiated a number of programs to combat crime in our beautiful province in effort of assist SAPS in fighting crimes. But due to the lack of resources, we have been unable to implement some of the program due to the insufficient resources. Our province has the most beautiful site on the planet Earth, and it is a favorable holiday destination for the number of people located and abroad. It is important for us in the safe and security cluster in the province to ensure that we protect our tourism and local residents in the province. The tourism sector in the province provides the number of opportunities for local residents economically, and it's imperative that we ensure that our province become one of the most serviced province in the country in order growth of tourism industry. The provincial board would like to urge all residents of Mpumalanga province to join the CPF in their fighting against crime in our local communities. We currently have CPF structures in all our district, and we are working very hard to ensure that all local police stations have full functional structures working and cooperated with SAPS and other communities-based structures. Honorable Premier and MEC, the Community Policing Board is the only structure that works with government department, but it is members to not getting any stipend. We like to lobby you, Honorable MEC and Premier, to consider our request to compensate our CPF member in all our police stations in Mpumalanga province. This will motivate our members to continue to work for their communities with pride and dignity in order to avoid situation where some of our members are manipulated by criminals by offering them bribes. I would like to take this opportunity, wish this summit and success, and hope this summit will assist as intensify the fight against crime in the province. Ngiyalibuwa, ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga, Chairperson. Siyabonga kakhulu ku-Chairperson. Asimnikezeni ihlombe. Technical, ngiyacela technical ningisize. Ngisazobiza uhoshi sisettle ama mics wethu. Umzuzwana simzwile u-Chairperson. Ukhulumile. Indaba ye stipend ukuba umhlonishwa uVR Shongwe ula. Ngabuthi le ndaba siyikhulumile sinondunankulu. Siyayazi ku cabinet kodwa undunankulu uzasikhokhela. Nangabe nithi your mics are fine, we are proceeding. Ngoba ngiyabona ukuthi lokho niyalungisa ene ngiyacela ukuthi siwalungiseni ahlaliseke kahle ukuze ama speakers wethu abe comfortable. Sene right. Siyabonga kakhulu. Sesizomuvela to our next message of support from the House of Traditional Leaders. Sizocela uKhoshi Mukwena owusihlalo wendlu yamakhosi Traditional Leaders and Khoisan in Mpumalanga province asiphe umlayezo asiphathele wona from indlu yamakhosi. Khoshi.
Thank you very much, my facilitator. To our one and only dynamic and excellent evergreen Premier of the province. To our Deputy Chairperson of the House, Inkosi Yende, our MECs, our executive mayors, our Deputy Speaker of the legislature, the DG, HODs, and all our beautiful participants. On behalf of the royal leadership in this province, and on behalf of the membership of Contralesa in the whole country, we are participating in this summit because we are directly affected by whatever is happening in terms of crime in this country. As I'm standing here, leadership, already in this country, we lost not less than 45 traditional leaders who were gunned down. As you remember, even here in the province, we lost one Inkosi Mnisi through the same weapon that is not meant to kill people. A crime is a Kosi. That's why, as wearing my other cap as Umongameli we Contralesa, we said, let there be a commission of inquiry to check exactly why Amakosi are killed in this fashion. To make matters worse, not even a single arrest to all those 45 killings of Amakosi. We hope and believe if there is this proper coordination between ourselves and the law enforcement agencies, these criminals bazotholakala. Hence, as Contralesa, I'm not ashamed. Some might feel I am controversial, but I am not. We supported the call by the ANC Women's League when they say, let's go and test the will of the people as to whether we're to reinstate death penalty or not. As Contralesa, we said yes, we supported the ANC Women's League's call. Why can't we test the will of the people? Because we are now being killed like flies. Now, let's look at some of the entities that breeds crime. I'm happy my MEC Umajuba is here. Our system at our schools, do we have any plan of dealing with dropouts at our schools? Because those dropouts are the ones that turned out to be criminals in our society. The Honorable Executive Mayor of Bushbuckridge will tell you that delivery trucks are no more entering our villages. Even ESCOM, when there are defects or defaults at our houses, they can't come and fix it because they are afraid immediately he is up there fixing whatever there in the pole. Boys will be standing down there to say, we are still here, and that affects our local economy because if delivery trucks and those other things are not coming to our areas, it means go to town to fetch your stock. One of the crime that is rife in our province, for example, is car hijacking. Let's have a way, how can we deal with it? Child trafficking. It's also one thing that we cannot tolerate as Amakosi. It's a pity because we have been deprived, or those powers that were given to Amakosi have been taken away. I so wish it was during our time when we were able to say, Mama, ngoba ingane yakho iyaganga. Uma ungamlethi ebukhosini, it means nawe you are supporting what this child is doing. Tina, we're going to solve this thing. The crime yasemakhaya, especially in the rural areas. But unfortunately, we cannot do that anymore. We want to say, as Amakosi, for Ubukosi to succeed, dealing a succession. The succession, it means there must be production of Kosi. Production can only happen when the mind is free. Honorable Premier, we are so excited and happy that we got this opportunity to raise whatever we want to raise as Ubukos. One of the issues that is affecting us seriously, it is said South Africa is occupying the highest position, one of the highest positions when it comes to service delivery protests. Those service delivery protests, when they count from January up until end of April, already it's 9,600 service delivery protests, not counting the ones that are happening today or happened from May up until now. And those protests ends up being violent, and innocent people are being affected by those. What is the cause? I was discussing this off air with my deputy speaker. Sati ogunye okosa logo arrogance. He advised we take it only if it comes from my friends or people in Buzanab. Asilungsen. We are worried as traditional leaders that if this thing is not addressed, as was said by Prof. Matota Figen, this country will become a free for all. And hashtag Asufundo. On behalf of Amakosi, we are saying we are prepared to play a role, even to cooperate with our ideas when they come, that will assist in fighting this scourge. We are saying Amapoisa alone cannot fight this thing. The justice cluster had to come together. It is painful, Honorable Premier, where Amapoisa will work for 24 hours to arrest a criminal. Only the Justice Department, but there are no prospect of succeeding. Good Lomuto Abosh. Bamtole handed at a petty TV, but there are no prospects of Lomuto Abosh. Mudimun choose the day will come. That day will come. We are praying as Amakosi that one day the president will wake up, Ibo Nelento, and sign the bill that is in his table now for the past 6 months. Because the National Assembly and the NCOP, they've passed the traditional courts bill that will assist Amakosi to cooperate in Amapoisa to deal with crime, but it's not passed up until now. Hence we are saying, let's hope one day the president will wake up and say, okay, by the way, there is this entity called Amakosi, and sign that bill. On behalf of the royal leadership in this country, we will support whatever strategy that will come out of from the commissions and finally from the plenary. We are prepared to take whatever advice and we'll make our own input as well in those commissions, even in the plenary. I have spoken.
Raleboga Khoshi Abuile Magoshi. mahosh wa rona re kwele. Sizo move with our program with speed. We're catching up with time. The introduction of the Honorable Premier will request MEC Msibi, MEC of Kokta, to come and do the presentation.
Thank you very much, Program Director, for the opportunity. In the well determines dialectical materialism. It was not by accident of history that in 1976 young people involved themselves in advancing the cause of having a liberated country. And other young people made choices. The person I'm going to introduce here made a choice. The person that I'm going to introduce here made a choice at a young age to participate in the structures of what we define as Progressive Youth Alliance, led by the ANC clique. It was not by accident that in 2009, the delegates who composed by all branches of the ANC in Mpumalanga province elected her to be in the list of the provincial legislature in Mpumalanga. It was not by accident again that when the leadership of the ANC saw a capacity, she was deployed to become a member of Executive Council responsible for cooperative governance and traditional affairs. History is no accident. It was not by accident that the Congress of the ANC elected her also to become a member of the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC. So it was with the African National Congress Youth League in 2008 at Socialization. It was not by accident that recently the National Congress of the ANC, comprised by more than 5,000 delegates in the country, with international ambassadors and participants, elected her to be in the National Executive Committee of the ANC. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm introducing to you the Honorable Premier of the Province, Honorable Refile Tsipan. Madam, the floor is yours. Can you stand up to give a round of applause, please? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We can be seated. Program Director, I stand before you being highly charged, being highly moved by the earlier utterances that we've heard, starting from Professor Somafikeni to our chairperson of CPF, and of course, our president of Contralesa, who also happened to be the chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders. We must say that your contribution was quite moving, thought-provoking, something that we need to take home and do introspection and look at the values that are espoused in us, and also the principles that will define who are we in life and what is it that we stand for. What is it that we need to do working together as South Africans in building our country? Your words have not gone unnoticed. In fact, they are shaping us. They are shaping this country. It is something to do thorough introspection. And having said that, Program Director, may I take this opportunity, pass my warm greetings to the members of the Executive Council, our executive mayors in our midst, and councillors who are here with us today. May I also pass my warm greetings to the chairperson of the Mpumalanga House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, Hoshi Mukwena, and his deputy chairperson, who's also in our midst, Hoshi Yende. Of course, we have earlier on our provincial commissioner of the South African Police Service in Mpumalanga, Lieutenant, oh no, the Provincial Commissioner is still with us, Lieutenant Simakaleng Manamela. Earlier on, we heard from the chairperson of the Public Service Commission, who was with us, Professor Somatota Figeni. We do have our senior members of government, as led by our Director General, Ubaba Mampuru, our stakeholders in our midst. Lochan, Sanbonan, Gile. Siyabonga. Chairperson, I want to start off by saying that it is with a sense of gratitude that I join you all today as we take a united stand against the scourge of crime in our beautiful province. Crime has become a blight in our province. It has left us bleeding and grieving for our loved ones. It has left a trail of orphans, widows and widowers. It has robbed families of parents and communities of their leaders. The SAPS crime for the 2022-2023 financial year has reflected a worrisome increase in such as murder, assault with intent to inflict grievous bodily harm, and residential robberies. Not a day passes without us hearing harrowing stories about violent crime in our communities. Criminals have now targeted our healthcare facilities and healthcare workers. Just last week, a hospital in Caroline became a target of criminals, while an ambulance was hijacked and emergency healthcare workers assaulted at Ntsigazi Clinic here in Bombela. We are still reeling in shock. The brutal death of host of the Mnisi Traditional Authority in Bushbuckridge, and later his wife Charlene. May I request that we all bow our head. May their soul rest in peace. Thank you very much. We also recall the tragedy that unfolded near Numbi Gate of the Kruger National Park last year, when a German tourist lost his life at the hands of hijackers. I mention these few incidents to give practical evidence of how crime has become an exceptional affront to the spirit and the purport of our democratic dispensation and Ubuntu inherent in all of us. There are several lessons we as government have learned in dealing with the scourge of crime in Mpumalanga. We have learned that to a larger degree, crime in our province has a uniquely random and violent character. A greater proportion of crime, such as rapes, usually takes place among acquaintances, particularly in poor communities where living conditions are a challenge to a decent family and social life. The marginal decrease of sexual crimes reflected in the SAPS criminal report from Mpumalanga province is largely attributable to the fact that victims are encouraged not to proceed with a case that has been opened. Families and friends and police officers who encourage a victim to drop charges against a perpetrator, they must themselves be charged with defeating the ends of justice, Provincial Commissioner. That will no longer be tolerated. Whoever walks in and compel the perpetrators to drop the charges, we must scrutinize them thoroughly and get to the bottom of why is that so that if there's a need for us to apprehend them, if there's anything untoward, let us do that. Let's not hesitate. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, this administration will continue to define fighting crime as one of our apex priorities, we want to say, sekwanele, iskati sesfikile, lapho kufanele sime, sonke singumphakathi waseMpumalanga, sithi sekwanele, umthetho mawuthathe indima efanele. Working with your good selves as our stakeholders, we are currently working towards the establishment of a new, modernized, efficient, and transformed criminal justice system to develop the capacity for fighting and reducing crime in real terms. There must be a more equitable distribution of police resources across the province. Earlier on, when we spoke about this matter, the provincial commissioner has also alluded to something else, saying that not only human capital is needed at this point in time, we also need the necessary tools in the form of vehicles that are highly powered, because the criminals are so sophisticated such that they rob us our own Mercedes-Benz, our own BMWs, and they run away with them. Now they are chasing them with the vans, not even bikes, the vans that are not well powered. We are taking that into cognizance to say that our coordination and integration must be sound so that we are better poised to react promptly in each and every situation, so that we can increase the capacity of our detective services to overcome our forensic backlog and improve prosecution. The time has come, Provincial Commissioner, that when you are recruiting police officers, you must attract people with the necessary qualifications, physical and operational skills, in order for them to close every potential loophole that may weaken evidence that is crucial for prosecution. Our police station must remain focal centers for coordinating mass mobilization against crime. Our people must feel safe and secured whenever a need arises for them to enter our police station. They should not feel more victimized by the very same police officers who in the first place are supposed to protect them. Once we can inculcate that mind shift change amongst our police officers, we will succeed in dealing a deadly blow to crime. Hence, Dr. Fikeni said earlier on, the money that we have spent to convene this gathering, ordinarily, had everything been equal, had everybody being able to do his piece, would not have been spent for this gathering, but rather it could have been spent where it matters the most. All that he was saying, it starts with us being involved and doing what is right, be it in office of political power, being in office of administration, and be it within our communities. We are saying the time has come where we need to join hands and do due diligence in this regard, so that resources are accordingly channeled to where it matters the most. One of the government's priorities is to combat violence and crime against women and children by increasing the capacity of the criminal justice system to deal with such violence. To this end, we see community policing forums as important and necessary instrument to achieve this goal. We've had the chairperson being the voice of reason for them. Part of it, they are saying, government, we want stipend for us to be able to deal with this matter. We will look at that, look at the capacity that we have. If it is permissible, indeed, that's one thing that we need to definitely consider at this government. It has come to our attention. We will then have to be in contact with our counterparts as we implement that, it becomes uniform and it is practical. We've heard you. We will take into consideration what you have raised with us. We need to move towards a society where the members of the public are active participants in deciding matters of their safety and security. To achieve this, we want to emphasize and encourage the people of Mpumalanga to be active participants in their local CPFs. We are acutely aware of the conflicts that exist between CPFs and community-based organizations. I want to take this opportunity and urge you all parties to be united by the shared goal of ridding our communities of crime. We are developing a zero-rated mobile app equipped with geotagging that will provide end users with immediate access to law enforcement facilities within their vicinity. This will not only aid tourists who are unfamiliar with Mpumalanga, but also people who receive poor services from our police stations. Plans are afoot to work extensively with the Ministry of Justice and Correctional Services to remove the bottlenecks that have resulted in a large backlog of prosecution. Program Director, we will embark on an outreach program with Amakosi across the province and civic formation to urge our people to work with the police in the apprehension of criminals and not harbor them. We've heard when we opened the house of traditional leaders, how passionate and how concerned are they about this subject. They even made available their traditional councils, provincial commissioner. They've made them available to host police officers so that they can be closer to the communities, so that they can be told closer to where things are happening. And we are saying we need to receive that with both hands, take that into consideration as we do our planning. Let's sit with our traditional leaders and explore the possibilities, make the warm bodies available so that there is direct police visibility within our communities. We've heard you, Khoshi Mukwena, and definitely it is something that cannot be ignored. Now, if society continue buying stolen goods, such practices will then fuel a proliferation of illicit and counterfeit goods supplied by the criminals to the commercially flourishing market. We want to urge faith-based organizations, our traditional leaders, our civic formations to play their role when we convene moral regeneration programs. Program Director, the fight against crime requires an integrated approach, which includes addressing decent values. If from are taught the values articulated by faith-based organizations, the likelihood of them growing up to be responsible and caring adult is that much greater. Therefore, partnering with you will spearhead our goals of combating crime. The call we are making to you as participant of this summit is to develop impact-driven initiatives to make Mpumalanga safer and ultimately push back the frontiers of evil. I wish to also extend my appreciation to MEC VR Shongwe and Acting HOD for convening this gathering. In this week ahead, I will interact with the Minister of Police so that we can holistically review the functioning of police services in our province so that we may achieve integration and coordination across the 90 police stations in the province. The resolutions of this Crime Prevention Summit will play a significant role in developing our posture for the engagement as government. Once again, we want to thank you, participants, for making this possible. And as we are going to deliberate in our commission, we wish you fruitful, progressive deliberations that will assist us as government to come up with tangible, implementable, practical strategies that will sort to fight the scourge of crime within our communities. I thank you so much.
Siyabonga kakhulu nabasihloniphile basukuma makhuluma ihead yale government sizofundisana siyasukuma simnike leyo nhlonipho mina ngizonifundisa every day so that we respect ourselves, we respect the offices they hold, we respect ourselves as citizens. We should be doing that. Ngiyathusa negaca amabhande ihleli phansi uPremier uyasukuma uceda ukukhuluma. Let's do so, let's respect each other. Ndunankulu siyabonga kakhulu. Sicabanga ukuthi umhlahlandlela ne-directive it's given ayitolikwa ke ngesintu. Siyanayo kuma commission wa guided deputy speaker. Sizothatha tea break so that there's no wasteful expenditure on that item, but we've done well because it's catch up in this card. Presentation yokuqala sesiyibambila ngisho. So we'll be fine. So I'm going to give you strictly 15 minutes. I think now it's 5 to 12. By 10 past, is it 10 past? 10 past 12, we are here. By quarter past, the provincial commissioner, Uzobamela, we are present. Are you sure as babysitting? We're here to work. We're not wasting any time. Let's take our tea, body breaks, niyaz gutabanyama body break nenzani. But ingenzi okungekho emthethweni. Singasukuma sonke siye etiyeni for 15 minutes 10 past. Let us be back. My technical team, can you come back and fix your matters before kuba ne WW Raw Smackdown? Khoshi ukatsamaya